All right, folks. So decided to do something a little different, and haven't done. I'm gonna say I'm gonna stream because I know it's not true. I streamed this past Sunday for the Royal Rumble, but I haven't done really much of a topic video in quite some time. So I don't know if this is gonna be like a quote unquote series type of deal, but in case it is, we'll see how it goes. Put it that way. So I'm gonna talk about various topics. What happened this week in WWE? Thus, the title being "The Week It Was" in WWE, and the date from being both on Raw and SmackDown. So in a weird way, it's kind of like both myself reviewing both Raw and SmackDown, giving my thoughts, along with some, I guess you could say, some non kayfabe stories per se. But let's start off with the Becca, well, I'm off to a great start right now, folks. I'm not drunk. Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey confrontation. So it was obvious that Becky Lynch, once she won the Royal Rumble, that she was going to go after Ronnie because she's the man going after Ronda Rousey. And personally, I thought this was a very good confrontation. I didn't like the crowd booing Ronda. I mean, I get it. Becky is really over right now, so it's like Jesus himself could face Ronda Rousey and Jesus would get booed, at this point. But uh, and some people don't like Ronda Rousey. It is what it is. But to me, she comes off as a badass, unlike Becky. And I'm not saying Becky isn't a bad. I mean, obviously in ring, Becky's good, and the way she's transformed her character to get over, I give her props for that. But especially with the company, clearly as day, they wanted her to be more of a heel, and they finally gave up. They're like, oh, whatever. Instead, they kind of try to give that to Charlotte. And yeah, that's working out great, isn't it? Speaking of which, can't wait till they make that a triple threat match at WrestleMania. But anywho, uh, with the whole Becky situation and Ronda, here's the thing. She's a somewhat decent face, but when you have someone that's a badass like her, you can't have her be all smiley. You can have her being a baby face without her being, what is up with that? I've never thought that was a good idea, particularly for Ronda Rousey herself. A lot of people, when they see Ronda Rousey, they see her in her UFC days when she was total brr, and she was cocky, she was arrogant, she thought she was the greatest of all time, blah, blah, blah. That's like the real Ronda Rousey, too, wrestling slash MMA fan. Not this whole hey guys, I'm really happy to be here. Hi. No, her thing is more, I'm gonna kick your ass, and I'm not afraid to say it to your face. And by the way, I'm seriously gonna kick your ass. That is what Ronda Rousey should be. That's what she should be booked as. Basically, the ending of the promo that she had with Becky Lynch is how you should book Ronda Rousey. At the beginning of a, hey, I'm here. Hey guys. Yeah, at least then the crowd has an excuse to boo her. You know what I mean? And plus, it seems more natural for Ronda Rousey to have her being like a kick-ass, in your face, birch type of deal. So it should be interesting between now and Mania for what they do with Becky and Ronda. And I guess, and I'm sure, like I said, they're going to put Charlotte in there because, lol, we have to have Charlotte in there. And this is someone that actually likes Charlotte. So I'm not saying, like, oh, he's a Charlotte hater. No, I don't mind Charlotte Flair at all. I've actually defended her to some other people. But it's like, does she always have to be in a title scene? And more importantly, does she always have to feud with Becky? There's other people she can feud with. Hell, have freaking Charlotte and Asuka if you want to have a I know it's a rematch from last year. WWE, don't pretend like you've never done rematches and following manias back to back. All right, just don't pretend that you've never done that. Okay. But anywho, then you had, and this again still going on Raw for a little bit. Then we're going to SmackDown. You had Elias turning heel. This was out of nowhere, and this was kind of dumb. Now, granted, I think Elias himself, he seems to enjoy being a heel more than a babyface, but the guy was already over. Now, granted, you can make an argument how when he was a babyface, it was just like, oh, you smell, he's making songs about people he just doesn't like. When he was a heel, it was like, okay, he's making songs about every city that he's in and that he doesn't like that city. So, to me, it was sort of like, you basically had him turn heel for about, I don't know, what felt like 3 to 4 weeks just to turn him excuse me, you had him heel, and then you had to turn babyface about 3 or 4 weeks, and then you had him turn turn heel. Excuse me, I'm talking backwards here. Pardon me. But yeah, so you had him turn babyface for a few weeks, then you had him turn heel. And of all people, because of Jeff freaking Jarrett, I get it, the whole thing. Oh, Jeff Jarrett's supposedly now the one of the 8 billion producers that the WWE has backstage. Jeff Jarrett, Double J. Broke 1,000 guitars, did not draw a dime. Jeff Jarrett. Really? Okay. Now, I'm sure this was just like a one-time deal having Jeff Jarrett on TV, because I hope to God they don't have this feud between, God forbid, Jeff Jarrett and freaking Elias. Oh, my God. Like, I get it to a certain point. It makes sense. Pardon me, my freaking dogs. Anyways, it's just one of those situations that it's just like you need to really turn him heel, but whatever. Then you have Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. We all knew this was coming a mile away, of Seth Rollins and Brock feuding. But you know what? I'm fine with it because it makes sense. Again, the one thing I said during my Rumble review is I hope to God they cut off with this I'm doing it for Roman thing, because it's just like it comes off so forced. It's like, really? This is what we've it just screams out Rey Mysterio 2006 push all over again, and it's just like, please, just you could do better than that, WWE. And then speaking of Rollins, you go on to Dean Ambrose. You know, of course, a lot of people talk about, oh, Dean Ambrose is leaving WWE. Now, granted, I feel like if he's leaving, he's not going to go to AEW. He's not going to go all this. I mean, he could technically. I'm not saying he's not going to. But I don't think he's going to. To me, it's either this is a storyline, which I think it is. Because why would WWE go on their Twitter page and say, you know, hey guys, Jonathan Good, yes, we're using his real name, Jonathan Good, Dean Ambrose, he's leaving after Mania, he's not renewing his contract. When do you ever see them do that, especially months before it happens? Like, this could be possibly like a CM Punk kind of situation where it's like, oh, I'm leaving, guys, screw you all, just kidding, I'm back. Now, granted, it could be that, or it could just be plain and simple, hey, he's burned out. Maybe he just wants to go home. Like, he literally wants to take his ball and go home. I mean, he's got his wife bringing the income in the family, so it's not like, oh, they'll be struggling to death. But, you know what I mean? It's either to me that it's a storyline, or it's just, he's just straight up going to go home, because I just don't really see him in another company. And I know there's obviously a bunch of options he could go to, and I'm sure all these companies would love to snatch him up and bring back Jon Moxley. Not Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley. But it's hard for me to see from that perspective type of deal. Now, speaking of heel turns that I mentioned about Elias, we go on to Rusev's random heel turn after R-Truth became U.S. champion. Now, R-Truth's one of those guys where it's like, he's not that great in the ring, but he's such a good company guy that it's just like, you know, we've kind of made you a goofy character for God knows how long. Here's a little title for being so nice with us. And, you know, again, with Rusev, the guy was so over it. Now you just turn him heel, and then he's like being buddy with Nakamura, and it's just, oh my God. Like, this company is so weird. It's like, if you're over as hell as a heel, we'll turn you babyface. But then you're over as a babyface. He'd be slightly less over as a babyface, but still over. We're going to put you as a heel. I don't know. I wish I could say I knew why. I really wish I could. But whatever, WWE, you do you. That's all I'm saying with that one. But and of course we're talking with SmackDown. We got to talk about the new WWE Championship design that they have. This new hemp belt that Daniel Bryan introduced. Now I get it. It makes sense for Daniel Bryan's character. Oh, he doesn't like slaughtering animals. He's very pro-earth and all this and that, and you know, he doesn't want a leather belt. That's fine. But really, This is like something you do for your mid card belt, like for the U.S. title in the situation if you're SmackDown. Not the freaking WWE Championship. Oh my god! Your title is supposed to be made out of like what? Oak hemp, whatever it's like. Oh my god! And then the look of it is just what the hell? Like I squinted, and I'm not much of a squinter. But when I was squinting when I was looking at the design of the belt, and I was oh god, I thought I was getting trolled. I was like, this can't be the design, and I kept on looking around, looking around. I'm like, holy hell, that's actually the belt that they have now. Just think about it. Daniel Bryan's probably not losing that belt to Mania. So whomever faces Bryan and loses the belt, presumably, is going to be holding that belt. Probably like the third match on the card, but like imagine him or whomever. Like, let's assume it's a guy. I'm not gender shaming, but imagine like the guy, whoever wins the belt, holds the belt up in the air, and there's like, "Oh, it's a WrestleMania moment, the new WWE champion," and they're holding that thing. What? Oh my god, that's terrible. But anywho, that's and I get it. It makes sense for the character. It's probably going to be around for a few months, but still, like. Ugh. Almost prefer the spinner belt over that. Anyhow, so speaking of the WWE Championship, WWE title match. WWE title will be on the line at the Elimination Chamber in a six-man Elimination Chamber match, which of course you have Bryan, fit the champion, facing AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Mustafa Ali, Jeff Hardy, and Samoa Joe. Speaking of Samoa Joe had like the greatest line. Samoa Joe only had a promo for like what, 35 seconds? And that was like the best promo I've heard in WWE, and especially in a short time span, in like forever. Because he just went crazy on everybody. Went crazy on freaking Jeff Hardy about telling him to shut up. Pretend there's an AA meeting. You just need to shut up and let him talk about to the group. And he brought up, of course, good old Wendy on the phenomenal one. But anywho. That match should be actually good on paper. I think that match would be pretty good. Obviously, Bryan's most likely going to leave with the belt, with his new hemp belt, which is less than 3 weeks away. My God, we just had the Rumble. Like, we're all like, this is like freaking Thanksgiving. It's like we're still digesting our food. Christmas is in like 2 weeks. Like, what? Anyhow, I'm not comparing Christmas to Elimination Chamber because hell no. And then finally, last topic is going to be the, I was talked about how Ambrose is possibly leaving, is Hideo Itami being released by WWE. Now, I know a lot of people had hopes for Hideo Itami, formerly known as Kenta, in the indie scene. Me personally, I don't know. I know people are going to be like, oh, creative screwed him. And it was one of those situations where you look back at it, and it's obvious when they did the Beast in the East show that it was supposed to be Hideo Itami versus Kevin Owens for the NXT Championship, and Hideo Itami was going to win in his home country, Japan. Obviously, it didn't happen. He got injured. They had to write him off. Supposedly, somebody hurt him backstage. It was in the parking lot, excuse me. I believe it was supposed to be Samoa Joe, but they never really said who it was. And then Finn Balor took his place, and we all saw what happened there. But really, it was more so, obviously, with Hideo Itami. The guy couldn't stay healthy. And it's just one of those unfortunate situations because I know a lot of people were big on him, the inventor, the innovator of the GTS, and he's the one that started the whole Daniel Bryan knee strike type of deal. And Bryan was actually nice enough to ask him to take that move, ask him politely, and Tommy said yes, like CM Punk, who basically obviously just ripped it off without even asking him because CM Punk's that great of a guy. Steals a move without even asking. But anywho, and then he was on NXT for a while. Then when they were doing the whole cruiserweights on Raw, he was up there for a little while. And then they had 205 Live, and he's been there ever since. And he's someone I could see ending up in AEW or going back. Supposedly he might be going back to Japan. I won't be surprised that happens, honestly. But it sucks. Sometimes you see a guy who a lot of people are invested in, and you think, okay, he could go up far, and then things happen, such as injuries, and it's sort of like it's out of your hands. There's not much you can do in that situation. It's supposed to be he asked for his release too, so it's not like, oh, they just fired him. He asked to be let go, and he got let go. So, and speaking of one more thing, real quick, I know I brought up the whole Dean Ambrose thing before, but it kind of has to do with this a little bit. A lot of people, I see a lot of people like, oh, the WWE creative screwed Dean Ambrose. I'm not saying they did him any favors. But you also got to remember that Dean Ambrose has been lazy in the ring for God knows how long. Because it seems like, to me, he's just going through the motions. He's like, yeah, I've been doing this. Name me one great Dean Ambrose match in WWE that doesn't involve Rollins and Reigns with the Shield. Oh, wait. Because I remember when the Shield became a thing, everyone was like, oh, Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, he's the guy. You know, and they're like, oh, Seth Rollins is pretty good, but I don't know what WWE's going to do with him. Roman Reigns, who? And how funny, years later, Roman Reigns is like the god of the group. And then you have, as you could say, Seth Rollins being the CrossFit Jesus. And Dean Ambrose, I guess, is the Judas because he's just the outcast of the group. And again, I'm not putting it all on Dean Ambrose. I'm not saying, oh, it's all his fault. But to me, when you come to a point where when, you know, the whole thing with Brock at WrestleMania, him on Austin's podcast, that horrible feud he was in with Bray Wyatt would make him look like a freaking complete utter idiot because the TV exploded in his face, and it comes to the point where it's like, I could see why he'd be pissed off. But again, he didn't do himself any favors. And now he might be in a feud with Nia Jax before he goes, but he also might be in a feud with Triple H. And it's like, what? Like, obviously, I think might rather see him and Triple H at Mania than him and Nia Jax. Even though if you're gonna bring intergender wrestling back in WWE, someone like a Nia Jax or a Ronda Rousey is gonna be more believable than the likes of like, sorry, not sorry, freaking Sasha Banks. But anywho, that's it from me. I know this made this video way too long. It's 17 minutes already, 17 minutes and 26 seconds to be exact. But those who arrived to the stream, I thank you very much. If I see your comment, I don't see your comment right now. I think right now I have top chat. Let's see if there's any live chat messages right here. Dean Ambrose was Nia Jax WrestleMania 35. What a fitting end for Ambrose WWE. Yeah, I know, right, man? What I thought to myself was a perfect way for Dean Ambrose to end his run in WWE, at least his current run in WWE. Face Nia Jax at WrestleMania. Oh man, but anywho, it is what it is. I mean, granted, I don't hate Nia Jax. In fact, I'm one of the more apologists when it comes to Nia Jax. I mean, granted, is she great in the ring? No. Is she great on the mic? She's getting better, but I'm going to say great. But, anywho, it's just whatever. Again, I still think part of me thinks this is a storyline thing with Dean Ambrose, but I could be wrong. You know, he could just take his ball and go home, which I think is more likely scenario than AEW. Which, by the way, why do people want to think that he's going to go to AEW? AEW would not be a good fit for him. Can you picture him and the Young Bucks? They're all like, kick, run. He's just like, I'm going to take it real slow. Yeah. Like, Dean Ambrose. I know a lot of people are Dean Ambrose fans. But Dean Ambrose is one of those guys that if this was like the Attitude Era, at best he'd be a mid-carder and he'd be like more likely in the hardcore division. That's like a perfect route for Dean Ambrose. In a hardcore division mid-carder. That is a perfect description of Dean Ambrose. Remember when Dean Ambrose was WWE champion? What was the first thing they did? Feuded with Dolph Ziggler. Now, granted, he cut like one somewhat decent promo, but still, it was like, yeah, WWE title match, SummerSlam, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose. You remember when no one bought into it? All right. One more question. He needs to go back to CCW. CCW still hiring? Just kidding. Yes, him to CCW. He'd be too big for, I think, CCW just because of the fact that he wasn't WWE for so long and he's a former WWE champion. He's won like 8 billion mid-card titles. That's another thing too. People are like, oh, they never did anything for Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose is like what, a 3-time Intercontinental champion. like 2-time United States champion. Now, granted, that's like the Miz and Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler both laugh at that because they're like a billion-time mid-card champions on both IC and US title, but still, you know. Ambrose fits better in Impact than AEW on paper. Yeah, he does. But the problem is, though, if he was in Impact, they still got Sami Callihan. And people are going to be like, oh, Sami Callihan and Dean Ambrose, you got like the same gimmick because they're both freaking crazy dudes and they're both from Ohio and supposedly they were both best friends. Now, not so much anymore in real life. And yeah, so. I mean, Ambrose in Impact, yeah, but again, it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe one of the reasons why also Ambrose wants to leave is because he wants a lighter schedule. Because people were talking about several years ago, oh, Dean Ambrose is the Iron Man in the WWE. Because he worked like, was it something ridiculous? Like 300 matches in a year, and then sometimes he had to do double duty on house shows, and I think someone even tried saying that he worked like something crazy, like 3 matches in one night, and it's just like, holy crap, dude! Like, I'm no biggest Dean Ambrose fan, but I gotta give credit where credit's due. You work that many matches in a short amount of time span, at least in a year. I'm like, dude, you're gonna die. Freaking calm down. The money is good, and you're in the quote unquote best wrestling company in the world, but relax. As Aaron Rodgers would say, RELAX, relax. Okay, you got a lovely wife who's a horrible commentator, but you know what? I'm sure she seemed like a lovely person. Just relax, man. Just calm down. So, anyways, I know I said like 4 minutes ago that, oh, I'm out, guys, peace, yo. But yeah, now I'm out. Okay, so thank you for all who attended to the stream. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to go on for this format from now on. And I apologize for my dogs barking in the background earlier. That's just, they're kind of dumb at times. If they hear a car go by, they're like, because they're dumb. But what are you going to do? You got dogs, that's what happens. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm out. Peace. Have a good day. Have a good night. Yeah. By the way, before I end this, hey Smogs, how's your sex life? Just think I was gonna go without saying that, huh?